When we talk about this featherweight Grand Prix, you've got Patricio looking to defend his belt. He had Pedro Carvalho the first time out. Now he's going to be taking on Emmanuel Sanchez in a rematch. AJ McKee's your number one ranked contender, but he was on the other side of the bracket, and he's already booked his spot in the finals with... Have we come up with a name for that submission over Darren Caldwell?
The McKeown.
The McKeown. So he beat Darren Caldwell by McKeown. Now he's in the finals. This is our last semifinals. That only makes sense. Pitbull beat Sanchez in the first fight. What an awesome fight it was. But if you look at Patricio Pitbull, and I see a lot of people out there, we threw this one out in the YouTube community tab, 87% of fans went with Pitbull to win. And the majority of fans that commented said, why isn't this guy in the UFC? Get this guy to the UFC. And I know what you're talking about, because if we just go back to 2019, he knocked out Michael Chandler flush, and he won that lightweight belt. You look at his overall body of work. I'm going to read these off. He beat Chandler. He beat Juan Archuleta, your current bantamweight champ. He's beaten Daniel Strauss 3 times. 3-1 is what their 4-fight streak is. He beat Wilson Hayes, former UFC title challenger. He's beaten Daniel Weichel twice, who's been a perennial kind of contender guy up there before Bellator had rankings. Emmanuel Sanchez has wins against some of these guys that we've heard of too. I mean, you look at it, Henry Corrales, another one is Daniel Pineda that's in the UFC.
Carcanian.
He's beaten Strauss, Carcanian, Sam Sicilia with one of the most slick submissions I've ever seen. The standing choke where he finished him, it was crazy. And if you look at Pitbull and his losses, one of them, Benson Henderson checks a leg kick, Pitbull hurts his leg. All right, that's fair. Unanimous decision loss is the other one. And then 2 splits to Joe Warren and Pat Curran years ago, the unanimous to Strauss. This guy's fought a high level of competition forever, and he's only 33, almost 34. This fight's awesome.
It's insane just how good Patricio Pitbull is. It really is, and I don't think Bellator has a pound-for-pound rankings, but if they do, he would be number 1 without a doubt. Hands down, that's how good Patricio Pitbull is. And
yeah, he is. He's number 1.
He is good, so there is a pound-for-pound, he's number 1. That does make sense, because like you said, his level of competition has been absurd. And the fact that he's been able to be this dominant over multiple weight classes is really the impressive thing, and I know he really only had the one fight at lightweight against Chandler to get the belt, but still, the fact that he knocked out Michael Chandler, who's now fighting for a UFC belt, and who's favored to win the UFC belt in his next fight, is really impressive. It's going to be a tough fight for Emmanuel Sanchez. It really is. And his toughness, his cardio, they're going to carry him very far in this fight. Does he have a good ground game? Yes, he does, but Patricio Pitbull's starting to get into that Amanda Nunes category where you're like, okay, this other person's a grappler. Well, how good's Patricio at grappling? Oh, he's a black belt. He's actually really good on the ground. Oh, well, is his stand-up any good? Yeah, he's probably the most heavy-handed striker we have at 145 pounds, regardless of organization. It's just really hard to ask, unless your name's AJ McKee, on how you're going to beat a guy like Patricio Pitbull. And it's not like Emmanuel Sanchez won't have a chance. Like I said, he's got the cardio, he has the chin. He's going to be there all 25 minutes, more likely than not. It's just, can he submit Patricio? Well, probably not. That's really hard to ask him to, and I doubt he can take him down in the first place. Can he outstrike him? Maybe for some periods just with his volume, because Emmanuel Sanchez can fight with an insane amount of volume. But even that, it's going to leave him in the pocket. We know what happens when you stay in the pocket with Patricio Pitbull. It even happened in the first fight. Emmanuel Sanchez starts to hammer away at Pitbull, starts laying good volume. Pitbull cracks him one time, and then you can tell, okay, the power is such a difference that Sanchez really can't be dedicated to a disciplined game plan without eating power in return. It's not like I don't like Emmanuel Sanchez. I think this will be your fight of the night if Bellator had such a thing, but it's just so hard to pick against Patricio Pitbull, really against anybody at this point.
I mean, for Patricio, you go back where they had the Bellator selection show, and was it long and drawn out? You're damn right it was, but at the end of it, or at the start of it, it was, hey, I want the worst guy in this competition, Pedro Carvalho, it's you.
So mean.
And he knocked him out. He hit him flush in the forehead and knocked him out. Like
it wasn't competitive.
It was insane, and yeah, it was a mismatch, big time. But I look at this fight, in a rematch, it makes a lot of sense. For Emmanuel Sanchez, what does he do well? Really good ground game, really interesting takedowns too. He has a nice low kick, and he throws a great jab. And you can't, listen, you laughed at me when we talked about Trevin Giles. Got a good power jab.
Because that's not the thing I think of.
Emmanuel Sanchez has a really, really good jab, and he can establish distance fairly early. You're fighting a small guy. And Patricio's small for featherweight in stature and in reach. He's small. He's really small for lightweight. It's just insane what he can do. He can control distance a lot. He can move in and out so well. And you look at Pitbull training out of either Pitbull brothers or when he spends time in Arizona, Eric Albarracin, his coach. He's got Henry Cejudo. He's got his brother Patricky. He's had, Bruno Silva. A lot of people have been talking about him recently and his win over JP Bays. That's another guy too. But there's so many good fighters. Leandro Higo's another one of those guys. He's been in his corner for a long time. So for me, Patricio's got that pedigree. For Emmanuel Sanchez, he's been a Roufusport since jump. And I mean, you talk about the Pettis brothers, one in PFL, one with Bellator. Really good shot for Sergio to get a chance at the belt here soon.
Oh, yeah.
For Sanchez, so many good opportunities. It's just a really tough ask in this rematch. So if we look at the odds, Matt, Patricio opened a minus 260, got down as low as a minus 330. Now he's a minus 261. For Sanchez, open plus 200, get up to a plus 253. Now he's at a plus 207 or thereabouts. And if we look at the Tapology votes, 726 of them, 93% Pitbull, 52% by knockout, 41 by decision. I think it's going to be pretty well the same as the first fight. I do expect maybe a bit of a different game plan from Sanchez. Maybe he tries to shoot or land more volume early, but it's a really tough ask here.
Here's the thing. It's cool just as I look at the pound for pound to my right. There are 3 fighters in featherweight in the top 10 pound for pound. So that just tells you how stacked this weight class is. And of course, it's the remaining 3 featherweights in the tournament, McKee, Sanchez, and Pitbull. But I agree with you. Pitbull is going to go in there, probably land big power shots. I wouldn't be surprised if he did finish Sanchez, to be honest, because Sanchez, you can eat those shots for 25 minutes, but it's really hard to ask somebody to eat those bombs for an additional 25 minutes. Emmanuel Sanchez managed to get out of the first fight without getting finished, but especially those later rounds after Sanchez had kind of spent himself early, you could tell that Pitbull was just kind of running away with the fight as it progressed. So I like Pitbull quite a bit in this, and there's a reason he's your number 1 pound fighter over Bellator. Like, Patricio Pitbull is a problem to deal with.
Matt, both of us going with Patricio Pitbull to get the win, and hopefully everybody liked the 2 predictions. This is an awesome card.